People, we are slowly, I started a little early today, um, just so I could just get myself together. Folks, how are you all doing today? I hope you all are well. Um, yeah, I hope you all are well. I am trying to hopefully bring in our guest in a second as I'm trying to do some work. We have a really beautiful person joining us today. I'm just trying to type in some stuff, folks, and I will be there in a second. I hope that is correct. Comes our person coming in. We are waiting. We are waiting. There you are. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I hear
Okay.
an echo of me, but it's
Oh,
okay.
okay. I'm not sure why.
You know, it's technology.
I know it's a mess.
Right. Hey, folks, before I get started, I'm just trying to do some stuff for a second, and then we have some business to take care of, and then we are going to talk to this beautiful person that you see before me today. Okay, let me see if I can do
Sliding.
this. I'm getting so much better at this. I just had to like pin Kiana's information down. Let's get
Thank
to some business.
you.
But yes, before we get to that, let's get to the business. We at Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, both past and present, and we honor them with gratitude. We and we honor with gratitude. I can't even read what I wrote. The land itself and the Duwamish tribe. I didn't actually write this. I took it from somewhere else. This part I did write. We acknowledge that we are on the land that is stolen from the traditional home of the coastal Salish people. The Duwamish ancestors were killed, brutalized, and stripped of their humanity. We lift up their work. We hold their pain and their joy as we honor them with our work today. Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas understands that we come from enslaved African people that endured countless acts of torture and humiliation during and after the Middle Passage. We bring into this space the thousands of Africans that did not make it to see this land. The work we do today is on the backs and shoulders of the original people of this land and our ancestors who now guide us. We sit in the space to honor African people and their descendants and to give back to the original people of this land. To our ancestors, we thank you, we see you, we invite you. Whoo, got emotional. Hmm. We invite you into this space with us so we can lift up your name and honor you with our work. Whoa,
That's
wasn't
okay.
expecting that one today.
That's okay.
Woo. Okay, people. That's what this is going to be today.
Yeah.
We gotta, yes. Um, I think I just got emotional. I just got off the call from someone that I respect, and they just lost two loved ones. So I think we are just people are leaving this world and becoming our ancestors more and more. And so I think that's why I'm emotional right now. Yeah, so it's gonna be one of them shows today. So it is not about me. We'll probably get more emotional as this conversation goes on. We are here with Kiana Harris. Hello, Kiana. How are you?
Hi. I'm so well. How are you?
Good. I'm a B. I'm good. I probably needed those tears. I'm good.
And that's
This
okay. You cry.
yes,
Cry what you need to cry. Shed it. You're
yes.
shedding.
Yes, yes, agreed. This is Intimate Conversations. I am Dani Tirrell. I'm the curator with Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas, and we do this every Saturday at 3 p.m. on Instagram Live. We talk to local and national artists, Black artists, to see what is going on in the world with Black artists, and not just artists, thinkers, doers, makers, activists. Folks hold so many titles that we just want to talk to them. And again, as I said, we have Kiana Harris. And before we get into really talking to Kiana, um, this is our second season, and this season I did ask each guest to answer this question. Black love looks like, and this is what Kiana wrote. It was a poem called Absorption by Kiana Harris. Black love is loving my body in the now and not my body 10 years ago. Black love is trusting my motherhood. Black love is continuing to see my Black child as a kid, even though the world may not. Black love is dismantling generational trauma. Black love is creating a nurturing environment for me and mine. Black love is rest. Black love is knowing my ancestors' humanity is not from pain. Black love is a form of resistance. Black love is embracing my inner petty. Black love is laughing at Karens as they envy my Black radiance. Black love is a revolutionary act. How are you, Kiana? That was beautiful. That was like, Black love is embracing my inner petty. That part.
Well,
I mean, you know, sometimes.
it's embedded in Black folks. I mean, that's what it is. You know?
Yes. Yes. I love that part. Black love is embracing my inner petty. My first dive into questions for you today is, what are you bringing into this space with you today, and who are you bringing into this space with you today?
Oof.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm bringing a lot into this space. I'm bringing in, obviously, me, my motherhood, the things that you listed as my poem, my ancestors, being my mother's birthday passed recently, and I didn't get a chance to celebrate or do anything for it because I was so numb.
Right.
And I know she's with me all the time, and so I want to bring that into. And so and also my art. I mean, the way I express myself, with words, is through my film, through my art, through my dance. And so I want to bring all that.
Yes.
All that.
I love it. Let's just go right there. Let's start with that. You and I have a lot in common, and one of the things is that we both recently lost our moms. And so your mom's birthday passed, and I know we had talked about it previously, maybe a week or so ago. How are you moving through the grief with the loss of your mom?
Oh, we starting there, huh? Okay.
Yeah, we are. We're going to start right there because you brought up your mama. I was trying to wait, but let's just give the people
We'll give
I think that's also a really great question because people are experiencing loss at a rapid rate right now because of the pandemic and because of other underlying issues, health issues, violence against police, people growing older, infant mortality rates. Like, people are just experiencing loss this year at a rapid rate. And I know your mom died last year, correct?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And so the process of grief, like, it's still there. And how are you moving through that?
Yeah, I mean, how do you move through losing your mother at the age of 61? Like, how?
Right.
How?
Right.
Somebody please give me a book about it.
Right.
I mean, I'm doing what I can. I mean, a lot of my mothering, I see myself in my mother when I mother my child. And so when I mother my child, I'm like, oh man, my mom used to do this.
Right.
She used to cook this. She used to say this. Some of them, better than others, but that's one of the way I connect. Maneuvering is, grief comes in waves. Sometimes grief is, a happy place. Sometimes it's a numb place. Sometimes it's a lost place, like you don't know what to do. And so it comes in waves. And so the way I honor my mother's, I have an altar in the living room of my house, next to her mother. And yeah, she lost her mother 2 years before as well. And so sometimes I'll be in my living room, I look at the altar and I just cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in the grocery store and I see what appears to be a mom and a child, and I just cry. Yeah. Sometimes the students, you know, I work in a classroom, so students I was with, I would just embrace my mother and be so thankful of these youngsters and to be around that youth. And to know that I'm living through my mom, you know. But I mean, yeah, it's a process. It's a process. I don't think you could ever get over your mother. And right. As I was telling you when we talked before, the pain is a pain I've never felt in my life.
Very true. So true.
So I'm 31 years old, and this sort of pain of losing a mother, I'm her womb. Right. I'm my mother's womb. And I lost the carrier of it. Mm-hmm. And so losing that, it's a pain beyond words.
Yes.
There's no words, there's no westernized science to solve it.
That will move you through it, right?
This is a pain I've never experienced in my life, and I know it's the same with you.
Yeah.
You don't know until it happens.
Right. It's so interesting. Today, I was cooking, just in the kitchen cooking, and literally thought about my mom and just couldn't move and just started crying. So it's a very interesting thing of just like the thought process of like, you know, what would she say? What would she do? And again, like, yeah, you're right. It just hits you and it just comes out of nowhere. And it's, and what I realized is like my mother had multiple health issues, and when you think you're prepared, life shows you like you are not prepared at all, like not one bit prepared. How do you talk to your child, Savion, about ancestors and transitions and the loss of your mom? Like, do you have open conversations with him about that and what you're moving through as a mother, as a Black woman?
Oh yeah. I mean, for one, my motherhood is based on being very honest with my child. Mm-hmm. One thing I loved about my mom is she trusted us with information. Now, it wasn't always kid friendly, if you will, but she trusted me and my brothers enough to talk to us and share information
right.
With us. And so that's what I do with my kid. Mm-hmm. My kid is very knowledgeable, and I work with kids too. So it's just like, right. I'm not going to sit here and baby talk a child. Kids want that respect. And so I give it to my child. And so he knows. Sometimes there'll be times where he's like, Mom, this time around when my mom's birthday was on the 7th, he was like, hey, Mom, your mom's birthday is coming up.
Yeah.
Like, do you need time to rest?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Or like, we have altars in my home representing the ancestry of our family. And so he knows what transition is. He knows that this physicality, if you will, is not forever.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, neither is Black lives. And I have to say it, my mom died at 61.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. My mom died at 61. I'm 31.
Right.
She died at 61. So to also try to describe to my child the Black life and its lifespan.
Yes.
You know, I do what I can so my child's not processing that alone.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, he's very observant. He constantly knows what's going on. I mean, he's not like I said, kids aren't dumb. They're so intuitive.
That's the
You
thing
know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and let me just tell you, my kid's like me. I can't handle him sometimes.
Right.
I'm like, friends, how do you handle me? Because I can't.
I think, you know, the interesting thing about children is that we tend to forget children completely tell us everything that we need to know about them. And we were once that way. And and we're forced to take on the thought processes of our parents. And that is a hope of like our parents are raising us great and raising us good and protecting us. But we're very clear on our yeses and our nos. We have our 1-year-old, 22-month-year-old nephew staying with us, as you heard earlier today, and he's upstairs screaming right now, but he's very clear about what he wants and what he does not want. So I'm just like, look, I'm not going to force you to do anything that you don't want to do because I think that you should be doing it when you're clearly like telling me no. And so, like, yeah, just that thought. Thank you for sharing all of that. We'll jump into that. One of the reasons that we're talking to Kiana, and then we'll get back to some other things, is that Showing Out is coming out, Showing Out Contemporary Black Choreographers. And this is, as long as we've been doing Showing Out, this is the most interesting thing. I was like, we never had Kiana at a Showing Out. Well, we have different processes now. We got, everyone's like, what? Look, we got different processes. Showing Out has been through iterations and iterations. But this time you are coming to Showing Out, which will be starting November 20th through the 22nd. And you are bringing not one, not two, not three, but 4 of your films. Kiana's created some dance films. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the series of films that you created?
Sure. I mean, my films pretty much are a depiction of Yoruba faith. And Yoruba faith is a faith that was based or is based in West Africa. And before colonialization, before the transatlantic slave trade, it was something that was heavily, they call it like the Yoruba world.
Yes.
And so my films are pretty much a depiction of the deities, the orishas, which we call gods, and their genders, because there was so many gender expressions when it came to Yoruba.
Okay.
And so my point of making this film was to depict and show those gender expressions, show those. Some of these orishas were non-binary. Some of these ishas were female and male half of the year. Some of them didn't have no sexuality, as I said. And some of them were female but had beards and a bunch of body hair. So it's like, the point of this was to educate and just bring some sort of, I hate the word awareness, but I can't think of another word, but awareness to our own culture and in our own community. People definitely have different opinions about the film.
Yes.
But it's mostly it's for my people, as we do in the
right.
country. And it's to let folks know that gender is not just a male. Gender is not just a female. Whatever that even is.
Right.
But this is our ancestry. This is our ancestry. Don't forget our ancestry over here.
Right.
Hello.
Right.
You can't be, this person and not want to free this Black person. Hello. We can't be free until all of us are free. And so
Right.
that was really why.
It's very interesting when I think of like religion and spirituality, and Christianity predominantly puts this male entity as the head of all. Um, and it's, it's just always very interesting. And then when you talk about other faith and other religions, how their gods, their deities are non-binary, non-conforming, have no gender, have no that, or there's a switch, there's a fluidity in it, and how in the United States, sorry, in Christianity, which is also a part of the United States, there is no type of duality. There's no type of fluidity. It's just this male dominated figure who is telling us how we should live our lives. And as we can see, men telling people how to live their lives don't normally work out, people. Just saying. So, yeah, I love the fact that you're creating a film. We're going to, when you all come to Showing Out virtually, we're going to show the last film first, and we're going to work ourselves backwards. So we're going to see the last film first. Can you give us the title of that film and a little synopsis?
Sure. That film is called Immortal.
Mm-hmm.
It's the very last film, like you said. It's a film that's depicting the afterlife and depicting the transition of when a rebirth and a transition. Right. So that's all I would say about that.
Good. You have to come see the film at Showing Out, and then we'll have more information later on. Again, look for Showing Out November 20th through the 22nd. I wanted to talk to you about the pandemic, and this is a question that just popped into my head. Sure. What have you discovered about love during the pandemic?
Ooh,
and I'm going to leave it just that broad. It's going to be super broad. So you can talk about whatever types of love. And before you answer that, everyone, look at the pinned comment below, Cash App and Venmo. That is a way that you can feed and pour into Kiana and her work and the life of her being a mother, her child. So please look at the pinned comments. If you want to throw Kiana some extra cash for doing this work, please look below and you can send Cash App or Venmo. Now, back to what have you learned about love during the pandemic, Kiana? Let's talk about that.
Ooh. Okay. Well, what have I learned about love?
I know I'm all over the
that. I need it. I need love. I need to receive love.
Right.
I need to stop doing everything by myself and receive love.
See?
Whether it's from my child, whether it's from my friends, whether it's from the work that I do, I have to receive it. I have to receive it. You know, as I probably told you this, honey, I go to therapy, you know, weekly, now every other week. But it's something that is constantly on my mind, something that is constantly being talked about. And I feel like I'm constantly going to have to work on it until I transition.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's a never ending journey of receiving love and knowing how to receive love, especially with Black folks. Like that is a skill, especially when we come from like families who it was a lack of, abusive, whatever may that look like, and we are defensive. You know, I will say something, I will share this personal thing, like something about me is I tend to withdraw. I tend to withdraw, and what I mean by that is when I withdraw is I just kind of shut down. I can't do anything else. Everything feels cold at times. Right. And I'm not able to be in a place to receive love. Right. You know, so yeah.
when we have been told in various ways that we are unlovable, and I'm going to say again, that is through our bloodline coming to this country, who are our ancestors who made it to this country. The message of you are not worthy and you are unlovable has been so deep and ingrained inside of us that we can't help to pass that down unless we learn something else. And I'm often thinking about those things of just when we talk about like coming from abusive families and how far can we trace back to what the abuse was. And sometimes I just think like, for me, the enslaved people endured abuse that was just passed on. And so if we can even go back further and forgive them and thank them, you know, and I know that sounds crazy, but even just thanking them to say thank you for even lasting this long for me to see this, because our line could have stopped a long time ago. There are some people that their line stops at the middle path. You know, there are some people that their line stopped before the enslaved folks were even enslaved at that point. So I just think about that often, of just like the receiving of love, and we were told we're so unlovable, and we're consistently told that we're unlovable. And so when you say like Black love is a revolutionary act, and you wrote that, like it really is. And it is because we have been told that we are not worthy of such a basic, beautiful thing of being loved. But I just wanted to throw that in there, you know, that we've been told, and we're continuing to be
I mean,
told.
like you said, it's generational trauma.
Yes.
That we passed down. You
Yes.
know, like our ancestors who were slaves, they weren't thinking about self-love. They weren't thinking, you know, they were just trying to survive. And like
right.
figure out what joy even means through this colonialization.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like the fact, you know, giving thanks to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in a place right now to be like, what's self-love?
Yes.
You know?
To even understand that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some other form of self-love. This has just been on my mind. Let's talk about WAP and the Black woman. Do you even know what that is? You looking at me like.
Here's the thing. I've seen context about it, but I haven't really read it, or you know.
You need to listen to that song.
I know. Sometimes I'm out of the loop, but sometimes I disconnect on purpose because sometimes I just can't handle the mainstream stuff. I'm sorry.
It is a worthy mainstream song. We gonna talk about it anyway.
Go ahead.
Because you are a Black woman. And really the context for me is, at this point in time, you have Black women out there doing some major things and also being crushed. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. People are just being extremely horrible to Black women in their comments, in their writing, and I just keep thinking about, when are we going to let Black women win? And that is why, like, WAP is coming up for me, because again, what we try to take away from people, we're gonna take away the self-love, and so we're gonna do what we can to take that away. When you discover how you want to be pleased and pleasured, we're gonna tell you that you are not allowed that, and you're not allowed to say it in the way that you need to and want to say it, so it is very clear. Just your comments on that, because again, you are walking through this world in positions that a lot of us are not walking in. And how is that showing up for you?
I mean, I feel like I could go on and on about this, but I will say, just living as a Black femme, Black woman, if you will, sometimes it's so embedded. The trauma is so embedded that I don't even know what's happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Until sometimes when I lay in my bed, I'm like, this mofo said what? I
Exactly.
ain't getting paid to do what? You know what I mean? So I feel like I was talking about this in your party. It was like feeling like how can we feel like we're worthy
Right.
of everyday things, right? How can Black women feel like that? Um, and I'm trying to figure it out, Dani. Like, I
Yeah.
really am. I'm trying to figure it out. And it's a struggle, and it would likely continue to be a struggle until I transition.
Right.
But I don't have a, in-depth answer for you. So,
What if anything, would your freedom look like?
my freedom would look like, I would say obviously not being under capitalism, imperialism, under colonialization, um, having my needs met without being judged by my appearance, being judged by being Black, being judged by being a femme, not having to advocate for my 7-year-old child, that he's not a bully and he's doing everything else that the other white kids are doing. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
it's a layer of things.
Right.
And sometimes I have to get into a space of like Afrofuturism because I have to get in a sci-fi space because I can't automatically access what freedom will look like.
Right.
Because I was born in this, my ancestors were born in this, my mom passed it down to me, to her mom and their mom. You know what I mean? So I have to think of it sometimes as like this sci-fi Afrofuturism of like, wow, what would it look like if race wasn't a thing? If we were all purple robots? And yeah,
right.
It's challenging. It's definitely challenging. So yeah, it's something like Afrofuturism is something like I'm getting into, and I connect that with freedom. I connect that with dismantling the system.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I like VR so much. Virtual reality.
Yes.
Because you go on VR, yeah.
I realize like people talk about dismantling the system inside of freedom. I I look at things like allowing Black children just to be loud and boisterous and happy and joyful without taming that. Like sometimes I think on the most basic level, we understand capitalism or allowing Black trans women to live. The idea of like freedom and to live free and to live without people judging who they are. That is again things that I just consistently think about is just what would freedom actually look like on the most basic level of things. Of not having the white women come and just destroy everything. Because we can't talk. Honestly, we got to talk about like the destruction of humanity at the hands of white women, not just white men. The destruction of the hands of humanity when you talk about black men and all of these things. And we understand that these systems are in place. So again, I just think about like the most minute things of like, what would happen if we just saw Black children being loud and joking and not calling them bullies when we know that the white children are doing the exact same thing and probably 10 times worse. but they are misguided or misunderstood, but black children are horrible, evil people. It's just like, no, they actually did the exact same thing and maybe even less than. How do you protect your child? Yeah, I'm asking all the hard.
I don't mean to keep making sound effects every time you ask a question.
No, because I'm asking you like all the questions today. I'm like just jumping in there.
Let me pat my forehead. Okay.
Right.
How do I protect my child? Whoa. I mean, my child's my womb.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'd be like, Savion, you're my womb. You realize that? We were having a conversation about it the other day. Like, we have similar intuitions.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when my child is being targeted, I have to go in advocation mode. Like, I need to advocate.
Right.
You know, and that's all the time. I mean, that's a lot of mothers. But I feel like because I'm raising a black child who identifies as a male boy, sometimes I feel like I have to give him this talk. Yeah. The talk is like, when you're, you know, around police, be calm, don't say nothing. You know what I mean? But it's like, what? I shouldn't have to do that.
And that's a 7-year-old. Like that's the part that, like, that's a 7-year-old. So they can't go to the police and look at the police like they're friendly and will protect them. They have to go, if I do something wrong, this police officer will think I'm probably like 12 or 13 and I'm only 7.
But let me tell you something that I'm not going to get too much into detail with, but I'll say a little bit about it. You know, my child, my 7-year-old at the time, was falsely targeted in an elementary school, and targeted as the bully, targeted as being a child, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I would have to advocate for my kid, but I didn't know I would have to advocate for him at the age of 7. I know that they'd start counting jail cells for 5-year-olds in the school to prison pipeline, but it didn't occur to me that I would have to advocate for my 7-year-old.
Right.
Like, I didn't know I had to advocate him being a child as a 7-year-old.
Right.
Because they didn't see him as a 7-year-old.
Not at all.
They saw him as a grown-ass man with locks. And I'm still trying to process that. You know what I mean? So to have to go through that, I mean, at this point, everybody can get it. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I have no words at this point in time. There's immense sadness. That's like the first thing. There's immense sadness. There's pain. Again, we just can't walk around with the same freedom in and around our bodies that others can. And I think, again, these conversations are important for me to have so people can understand what people are actually going through and dealing with. Because we know if a non-Black parent had to deal with their 7-year-old being targeted, stuff would be shut down. Like, there would be no question. Like, the advocacy for that child would be like one sentence or about an hour, and then things will change. Like, that's the reality of it. But if you are Black and you are a Black mother and they perceive you as not well informed and they perceive you as all of these things, advocacy will take months for your child, if not years. And that's the sad part about it. And I think you sharing that story, I know that you are not alone in that, and you are not the only one that has to do this for their child. And again, it's sad, it's ridiculous, it's pitiful. Um, yeah, our time is wrapping up, but again, these conversations for me is just to get to know different parts of people's lives. We can sit and we can talk about the art and all of that other stuff, but it's important for me to make sure that people are hearing the stories that are being told. Knowing that if you want to get in contact with Kiana, you definitely can through the social medias. And especially if you are a mother and a parent, period, going through the same thing, support is also key. I know that's important. The talk about the people in your community. What does that mean to you?
Can you say a little bit more?
Talk just. I know you have some really solid folks around you and some beautiful folks around you. And the loss of your mother, raising a child, artists, working in a school with other people's children, moving through this pandemic. What does that mean to have people around you that love and support all of
you? Ooh, yeah, I think it's really crucial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think to have community and care for each other is kind of replacing a little bit of capitalism, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, people are starting to realize, like, oh no, I need community. I'm isolated. I need community. So it's easy on a personal level. It's easy for me to get caught up in myself, in my motherhood, and trying to raise my kid. And I will share this. My mother had raised 3 kids all by herself. She was alone the majority of her life.
Wow.
And she was a high functioning depressed person.
Yes.
Okay.
As most Black women are.
As most are. And so a lot of times I grasp with that.
Yes.
I saw that. And so it's easy for me to get in isolation mode.
Right.
I think a lot of artists are like this too, but it's easy for me to get in isolation mode and just kind of create and be in my own head but I have to fight that a lot of the times. And I fight it with therapy. I fight it with really targeting my mental health, because I know how it affects me seeing a high functioning depressed person sometimes in bed all day as a child.
Yes.
I know how that affected me. And so, I'm trying to teach my child the ways of his mental health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how I can support his own mental health. So yeah, I mean, community is crucial. Being around people, connecting with people. I mean, it took me a while to try to get used to everything, and it's still taking a while.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, what? How do I do this?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think, there's an uprising, revolution happening on the top of a pandemic. Like, community is key.
Right. Support is key.
People are fighting on the streets and they don't know each other.
Yes. So
people are fighting to, give mutual aid to elders and they don't know each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's community. And so it's the opposite of capitalism. Capitalism really thrives off of individuality.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
yes.
Even if people sometimes don't, try to connect with it, they're doing it anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of inevitable at this moment.
Kiana, thank you. Before I ask my final question, just a few things. Again, Showing Out will take place November 20th through the 22nd. That is the first experience of Showing Out. We're doing 3 different iterations of Showing Out. Kiana will be showing all of their films, starting with the fourth film, the last film first, and we're going to move backwards, and we'll have more information about that. On October 24th, Vanya Bynum and Jabor Dance. I cannot say that right. I will get it right. You will be seeing Humanity and Evolving Perspective, one of our affiliate programs at CD Forum. That will be online. We'll have more information about that. Again, that's October 24th. It'll be a virtual program. And next week, I have as my guest Michelle Dooley on Saturday. And on Sunday, we're doubling it up next week. So Saturday, you get to see Michelle Dooley on Instagram Live. And Sunday, you get to see Spyra Barbaric. Instagram Live. I got a busy weekend next week just talking to folks. Kiana, it is a pleasure to always see you and to talk to you. I know you pretty much since I moved to Seattle when you were at that School of the Arts, Cornish.
Yeah, we'll say that School of the Arts.
That School of the Arts, yes, there. And moving through that experience, we didn't even touch on that because that wasn't really important. But again, folks, if you want to give Kiana some cash, and again, this is about supporting the work of artists, supporting the work of people doing the work in the community, and just really pouring back into Black folks, especially Black women who pour back into this world in ways that we don't even know. Kiana's Cash App information and Venmo information is in the pinned comments. Last question, Kiana, my favorite question always, what is your joy?
My joy is when my kiddo, this is so corny, but when my kiddo, he comes in my room like 3 a.m. and like cuddles up with me.
That is not corny. That is so sweet.
I know. It's my joy. My joy is being able to have the financial means to, live with a roof over my head.
Yeah.
That's my joy. Even though it should, but anyway, it should already be a thing. But anyway, my joy is to, oh my goodness, water. So, water is like very prominent in my films. And so water is like a healing, is the way I heal. It's how I navigate. And so recently me and my kid have been going to the lake.
Nice.
He can swim better than me. And we just been like connecting. Like it's like, so it makes me feel, I just love it. I just love the water. So, and then connecting with my kid. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Kiana. You have a great rest of your day surrounded by water. We will talk to you later. Love you so much and thank you for doing this. Thank you, everybody out there who tuned in. Intimate Conversations with Dani Tirrell, program with Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Dani.
Thank you.